settled into my drawing chair, my gaze fixed on the incomplete sketch displayed on my computer monitor. The soft glow from the small desk lamp cast gentle shadows across my face, creating a play of light and dark within the confines of my modest workspace. From a very young age, I've nurtured a profound passion for drawing. Unlike many children who relished outdoor play, I found immense joy in spending countless hours engrossed in my colored pencils and sketchbook. I crafted a seemingly endless array of characters, encompassing everything from valiant superheroes to mystical creatures inhabiting my vibrant imaginary realm. My family often reacted to my artistic pursuits with a mixture of bewilderment and mild disapproval, my mother in particular. To her, my dedication to drawing was nothing more than a frivolous pastime, a distraction from what she considered to be more practical pursuits. "One day, you'll have to grow up, Anya," she would frequently remark, clutching a dishcloth with a firm grip. "You can't live in a dream world forever." In response to such pronouncements, I would silently adjust my headphones and continue drawing, allowing her words to dissipate like wisps of smoke. My elder sister Clara was consistently held up as the epitome of success in my parents' eyes. She had consistently excelled academically, gained admission to a highly prestigious university, secured a stable corporate position, and married David, a highly successful software developer. In my parents' estimation, Clara's life was a model of perfection. Our living room walls were adorned with a gallery of Clara's accomplishments, showcasing her academic certificate, graduation photographs, and numerous happy family portraits featuring Clara and David. In contrast, my artistic endeavors were relegated to a small, unassuming corner where a few of my drawings were modestly displayed. Upon completing high school, while my peers enthusiastically prepared for university applications, I surprised my family by forgoing traditional higher education. Instead, I enrolled in an online course specializing in 3D modeling. My mother responded with an expression of incredulity. "Are you serious, Anya?" she exclaimed, her voice laced with a blend of disappointment and disbelief. "Everyone in this family attends university. You're the only exception." I attempted to explain the burgeoning opportunities within the online animation world, illustrating how dedicated content creators could indeed build thriving careers from their passion. I'd followed numerous popular animation channels, studying their storytelling techniques, character development, and methods of creating captivating short films. However, my impassioned explanation failed to resonate with my family, particularly Clara. To them, my aspirations sounded no different from the whimsical fantasies of a child. "You think YouTube is a real job?" Clara questioned, her tone imbued with a mixture of astonishment and sarcasm. "We only want what's best for you, Anya. You can't rely on your drawings forever." David, seated beside her, nodded in agreement. "I have a contact at a media company. If you'd like, I could arrange an internship for you. It's certainly preferable to staying home and drawing random stuff," he offered. I was acutely aware of their skepticism. Their words felt like sharp barbs, testing my self-assurance, but I steadfastly refused to be deterred. Instead, I doubled down on my resolve to demonstrate that my artistic passion could yield tangible results. I launched my own YouTube channel, uploading short animated videos, even though my initial efforts yielded only a handful of views and largely negative comments. Clara and David seemed to derive a certain amusement from criticizing my work. At every family gathering, they'd find a way to bring up my YouTube channel. "Have you seen Anya's latest video?" Clara would inquire, a smirk playing on her lips. "Look at the comments. People are saying her characters resemble something out of an outdated video game." David would erupt in laughter, while my parents would simply sigh in collective disappointment. Yet I remained unwavering. Instead of allowing their negativity to undermine my spirit, I channeled their criticisms into a potent source of motivation. I devoted countless hours to studying successful YouTube channels, meticulously analyzing every frame, learning how they achieved seamless animation, and crafted compelling narratives. I refined my artistic style, creating more dynamic characters and weaving more engaging storylines. It wasn't merely drawing, I was constructing an entire universe, a world where I held complete creative control. Initially, my subscriber count remained minuscule, but gradually, the numbers started to increase. One morning, I awoke to discover that my channel had surpassed 500 subscribers. While this figure paled in comparison to established channels, it felt like a significant validation of my persistent efforts. I began receiving encouraging comments and positive feedback from complete strangers. They expressed their appreciation for my characters and the narratives I crafted. It felt as though I was finally beginning to emerge from Clara's shadow, but not everyone shared this sentiment. Every time I celebrated a new milestone, Clara would find a way to diminish my achievement. When I reached 1,000 subscribers, she threw a lavish birthday party for David on the same day, diverting the family's attention. When I received a collaboration offer from a small game development studio, Clara announced that she and David were purchasing a new house, rendering my news comparatively insignificant. Despite these attempts to undermine my success, I pressed on. Clara's barbs no longer stung with the same intensity. Each day, I dedicated myself to refining my skills and expanding my knowledge. With every new video, I felt my artistic abilities growing exponentially. Soon, 1,000 subscribers blossomed into 10,000, then 50,000. My channel began attracting the attention of small sponsors, and I started generating a modest income from advertisements. I understood that the path ahead would remain challenging, but I also knew that as long as I persevered, as long as I continued to draw and tell my stories, the day would come when I could definitively prove to my family that my passion was far from meaningless. 3 years flew by in the blink of an eye. From those humble beginnings with just a handful of subscribers, my YouTube channel had exploded to over 1 million followers. It had been a journey marked by sleepless nights, hunched over my computer, countless failed attempts, and moments where I yearned to quit, only to remind myself of my unwavering commitment. I had built my own world, where animated characters not only came alive, but also conveyed deeply resonant and emotionally powerful stories. The income generated from my YouTube channel was no longer a meager trickle. It had become a substantial and reliable revenue stream, encompassing advertising revenue, sponsorships, and the sale of merchandise featuring my characters. I still vividly recall the moment I signed my first sponsorship agreement with a prominent graphics software company. The amount they offered was so unexpectedly generous that I reread the email 3 times to confirm I hadn't misinterpreted the offer. My t-shirts, keychains, and animated character toys sold out within hours of their release. That feeling, a potent blend of pride and disbelief, was akin to living a dream I feared might vanish if I dared to open my eyes. I decided it was time to share my success with my family. We maintained our tradition of Sunday dinners at my parents' home, but this time, I wanted to make it especially meaningful. My mother prepared my favorite honey-glazed roasted chicken. My father settled into his usual corner with his newspaper, and Clara and David, along with their 2 young children, arrived early, filling the house with joyous laughter. A sense of warmth and tranquility pervaded the atmosphere. I have some exciting news to share, I announced, setting down my fork and scanning the faces around the dining table. Even Clara paused her conversation with David to listen intently. I've just rented a new apartment downtown. It's not overly spacious, but it's fully furnished, and I'll be moving out next week. The room seemed to fall silent for a moment, a palpable tension hanging in the air. My mother dropped her spoon onto her plate with a clatter, startling my little niece. Clara blinked repeatedly, while David cleared his throat to disguise his surprise. "Are you serious, Anya?" my father asked, his voice a mixture of curiosity and concern. "No, Dad. I've been diligently saving from my YouTube earnings. I can now support myself without needing anyone's assistance," I replied, a smile spreading across my face, a genuine joy welling up inside me. Clara offered a laugh, but her smile lacked warmth. "I thought you were still just making those little videos. Does YouTube really pay that well?" she asked skeptically. "It's not solely YouTube," I responded calmly. "I've secured sponsorship deals and generated additional income from merchandise sales. To be frank, if I chose to, I could even afford a house. But for now, I simply want to experience the independence of living in my own apartment." The entire table fell silent once more. I couldn't determine whether they were genuinely surprised by my success, or if their preconceived notions about my chosen path had been completely overturned. From that day forward, a subtle shift occurred within the family dynamic. My parents, who had always complained about escalating utility bills, suddenly began to casually mention their financial difficulties with increased frequency. My mother declared that the refrigerator was outdated and required replacement. My father subtly hinted that his car was experiencing more frequent breakdowns. Initially, I readily helped them cover these expenses, believing it was a natural expression of my love and gratitude. Then there was Clara. She transitioned from her usual stylish attire to more modest clothing, and dark circles began to appear under her eyes, betraying sleepless nights. During one evening, while washing dishes together, Clara confessed that David's work hours had been reduced and that rent and childcare costs were placing an immense strain on their finances. Without hesitation, I set up a monthly transfer to her account, helping her family navigate this difficult period without revealing my assistance to others. However, it seemed that the more I helped, the more I was being taken advantage of. Financial requests from my family escalated steadily. My mother began calling me weekly, not to inquire about my well-being, but to remind me of outstanding bills. My father no longer hesitated to mention the cost of home repairs, and Clara didn't hesitate to ask me to purchase school supplies and new clothes for her children. Even so, I still believed I was acting out of selfless compassion. I felt that if I had the means, assisting my family was simply the right thing to do. However, I gradually realized that I had unwittingly become their primary financial provider, and the warmth of familial love had been chillingly replaced by the cold, hard reality of unpaid bills. Eventually, I recognized the urgent need to prioritize my own well-being and career advancement. I possessed the financial stability and skills to propel my career to the next level. Instead of continuing to work from home, I decided to lease an office space, assemble a professional animation production team, and establish my own brand. The new office, with its expansive glass windows and abundant natural light, infused me with a renewed sense of freedom and creative inspiration. I hired a talented team of animators, writers, and even a project manager to streamline operations. We embarked on larger projects, collaborating not only with YouTube, but also with prominent brands and television channels. Every workday brought me closer to realizing my ambitions. I also treated myself to a new car, nothing extravagant, but enough to symbolize my entry into a new and exciting chapter of my life. I continued to provide financial assistance to my family, covering bills and supporting Clara, but deep down, I sensed something was amiss. I struggled to discern the boundary between genuine familial affection and blatant exploitation, but the unsettling signs of betrayal began to surface, though I hadn't yet recognized their significance. When the truth finally unfolded, it shattered everything I had previously believed. One Sunday morning, my mother called, requesting my assistance in cleaning the house. She explained that the house was in disarray following my father's 60th birthday celebration, and that she needed an extra pair of hands. I readily agreed, believing it was an opportunity to reconnect with my family and foster a stronger sense of unity. Upon arriving, the house was unusually quiet. My mother explained that everyone else had gone shopping, leaving her alone at home. She led me upstairs to the attic, where old boxes and stacks of documents were haphazardly piled. "I've been meaning to organize everything," she sighed, "but there's just so much, I don't even know where to begin." I rolled up my sleeves and began opening each box, diligently sorting through old documents, photographs, and cherished keepsakes. During this process, I stumbled upon a pale yellow envelope tucked away amongst the older papers. The envelope was remarkably new. Unlike the other aged documents, it wasn't yellowed or creased. I picked it up and noticed that it clearly displayed my parents' names, along with the words, "Last Will and Testament." My heart pounded in my chest. A premonition of something profoundly unsettling washed over me. Hesitantly, I opened the envelope and began reading the neatly printed legal document. Each word felt like a sharp knife, twisting within my mind. The will unequivocally stated that all assets, including the house, the car, and my parents' savings, would be bequeathed entirely to Clara upon their passing. My name was conspicuously absent. I stood frozen in the small attic space, the world around me seeming to spin uncontrollably. Everything I had done for my family, the bills I had paid, the repairs I had arranged, the household necessities I had purchased, even the monthly financial support I had provided to Clara, meant absolutely nothing. It felt as though the very ground beneath my feet had crumbled away. Part of me desperately wanted to believe this was a simple misunderstanding, that perhaps there was another will bearing my name, or that my parents had a perfectly reasonable explanation. As I heard footsteps approaching on the stairs, I looked up to see my mother entering, holding a glass of lemonade. Upon seeing the envelope in my hands, her face paled visibly. "Anya, what are you doing?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Mom, what is this?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Why is everything being left to Clara? What about me?" She placed the glass on the table, her expression hardening into a chilling coldness I had never witnessed before. "Clara needs it more than you, Anya," she replied. "You have your own thriving career, your own company, a stable income. But Clara, she's raising 2 children, and David recently lost his job. Don't you think families should support each other?" "But I have been supporting her," I exclaimed, unable to contain the hurt that welled up inside me. "I've been paying her rent, buying school supplies for the kids. I've done everything I possibly could, but does none of that matter to you?" "We never asked you to do any of those things," she responded, her tone firm and dismissive, effectively ending the conversation. That was your choice. And now you're selfish enough to demand a share of the inheritance. You already have more than enough. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So this is what you truly think of me, that I'm selfish, that I don't deserve anything in this family, I retorted. My father appeared in the doorway, having overheard the heated exchange. Anya, you're overreacting, he said. We're family. Clara needs more help than you do. You need to understand that. I understand, I replied with a bitter laugh. I understand that I was never truly a part of this family. I was merely the one standing behind, paying for everything, receiving nothing but scorn in return. I turned and left the attic without waiting for further excuses. I knew that any additional explanation would only inflict more pain. As I reached the front door, I heard my mother call out, "If you walk out that door, don't expect to come back." I stopped, turned back to face them one last time, and replied, "Fine, I won't." I returned to my apartment, slammed the door shut, and allowed the tears to flow freely. I felt an overwhelming sense of emptiness, as if I had lost something immeasurably precious. It wasn't the money or the assets. It was the profound loss of my trust in my family, in the bond we were supposed to share. In the days that followed, I severed all financial ties with my family. There were no more transfers to Clara's account, no more checks to cover my parents' utility bills. I stopped responding to messages, declined calls, and gradually withdrew from their lives. When they realized I had truly withdrawn my support, they began to exert pressure. Clara took to social media, publicly labeling me as a selfish sister who had abandoned her family during their time of need. My mother posted melancholic and passive-aggressive updates on social media, implying that I had betrayed them and that a dutiful child would never treat their family in such a manner. However, they hadn't anticipated that other family members, those who were aware of my extensive contributions to the family, would come to my defense. The comment sections beneath Clara's posts became flooded with expressions of support for me, recounting the many ways I had helped, reminding them of the gifts and financial assistance I had provided. In the end, their own words backfired spectacularly. My mother fell silent, and Clara ceased her public accusations. I didn't need to understand their motivations. I knew that further explanation was unnecessary. I simply craved peace, an end to the feeling of being exploited, a release from the constant pressure to prove my worth to those who had never truly appreciated me. And so, I began to write my own narrative. No longer a secondary character in someone else's life. I became the protagonist of my own journey toward genuine happiness. I sat in my armchair by the window, the afternoon sun filtering through the sheer curtains, casting gentle rays of light across the floor. My phone lay silent on the table, all contact with my family blocked. From the day I left their home, I resolved never again to allow myself to be ensnared in a cycle of manipulation and hurt. The SUV I had gifted my parents for their 35th wedding anniversary was still registered in my name, and I had been covering the insurance and maintenance costs. I recalled the simple joy I felt when handing them the keys, their smiles making it all worthwhile. But now, those happy memories were tainted with profound disappointment. I picked up my phone and contacted the insurance company, requesting the vehicle be repossessed. The customer service representative's voice was calm and professional. "We'll arrange for a tow truck to retrieve the vehicle within 24 hours, she stated. I thanked her, placed my phone down, and felt a considerable weight lift from my shoulders. The very next morning, my phone was inundated with messages and calls from my mother. "Anya, what's going on? Why was my car taken? You can't do this to your own family." I didn't respond. The subsequent messages from Clara and David were no different. They accused me of selfishness, of jeopardizing their livelihood. Silently, I deleted each message, as if erasing every trace of their betrayal. A week later, I officially severed all contact with my family. I changed my phone number, removed them from my social media accounts, and blocked every avenue they might use to reach me. I knew this decision was difficult, but it was absolutely necessary for my own peace of mind. With the savings from my business and YouTube channel, I began searching for my dream home. After months of searching, I found a charming little house in the suburbs. The house boasted a spacious garden, ample room to design my own workspace, and a cozy corner ideal for painting. Owning my own home felt profoundly different. No more scrutinizing glances upon my return. No more weary sighs from my mother or passive-aggressive comments from Clara. Each morning, I awoke to the sunlight streaming through my windows, beginning my day with a cup of coffee and a true sense of freedom. I dedicated myself fully to my work and YouTube channel. New projects continued to pour in, ranging from short animated videos to collaborations with major brands. My team expanded, adding talented artists and writers to bring my creative visions to life. One day, while editing a video, I received an email from YouTube. "Congratulations on reaching 10 million subscribers. I opened the email, gazed at that astonishing number, and felt my heart swell with happiness. From a girl once ridiculed for pursuing her animation passion, I had become a prominent content creator with millions of devoted fans who cherished the stories I shared. I hosted a live stream to express my gratitude to my audience. Messages of congratulations and support flooded in from around the globe. A young girl messaged me, sharing that watching my videos had helped her discover her own passion for drawing and inspired her to pursue it. A young man shared that my stories had helped him overcome loneliness and difficult times. I realized that I wasn't just creating entertainment. I was providing genuine value and support to others. On late afternoons, I often sat on my porch, watching the sunset and contemplating my life choices. But every time I looked at my warm, inviting home and my inspirational workspace, I knew I had made the right decisions. I no longer felt sadness or regret about my family. They had chosen their path, and I had chosen mine. No more unanswered financial requests, no more feelings of exploitation. I was living my own life, a life brimming with freedom and color, just like the drawings I created as a child. My new life was devoid of strained family dinners and double-sided conversations. Instead, I had genuine friends, colleagues, who shared my passion, and a supportive community of viewers. I began to travel, documenting my adventures through short animated videos, sharing new stories, and continuing to create without limitations. I understood that sometimes letting go is the only way to save oneself, and I had done just that. I found true happiness by prioritizing my own well-being, by daring to say no to things that no longer served my life's purpose. My story doesn't end here, it's only just beginning. I know the road ahead remains long, but I'm ready to face any challenges. Because this time, I'm the author of my own story, and no one can take that pen from my hand. My story serves as testament to the fact that true happiness sometimes arises from the courage to let go of toxic relationships, even familial ones. From someone who was perpetually underestimated, I discovered my inherent worth through dedication and passion. Free from exploitation, I'm empowered to create, build my career, and live a more fulfilling life. Sometimes, moving forward necessitates the bravery to close old doors and embark on new chapters. What are your thoughts on Anya's journey and her courageous decisions? Share your reflections in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to follow more inspiring and heartfelt stories about life and family.